I'm pretty sure I can record while YouTube is processing. Actually, if you check, it's called checking by the AI. AI is reading everything. This episode I'm going to do as quickly as possible because it borders into areas that people don't have any interest or education in, and they'll have to do a lot of research to check me out. But as usual, it's factual, unlike the hobo. This one's going to be titled, today's tableau is titled Trump and Karl Marx. Now, presently in an area where people are intelligent enough, there's high tech here, there's really a basic, very conservative, religious, because to be conservative, you tend to be religious. And actually, like certain things that socialists claim about caring for the little people and stuff is actually a conservative value because God commands us to care for the weak and the frail. Yeah, you liberals, they keep going, oh, you're actually, that's the libertarians don't give a shit about. That was the lunatic fringe that Eisenhower warned you about. I'm going to continue to teach you about politics and the fact that I don't toe any political party line. I have my own politics, fact based, no bullshit based. I'm not a demagogue. So here goes. Around here, they're smart enough not to wear red MAGA hats. I'm sorry, I just got through speaking Spanish in there. I'm jumping around. I was trying to come up for. Anyway, Trump was a total fuck up. People around here don't wear MAGA hats. You're not going to see Trump bumper stickers because, one thing, they're not going to mar up the resale value, although they're usually easily removed with a little bit of vegetable oil. They're also not going to have somebody attack their car. They're not going to have somebody pee in their coffee at Starbucks. Actually, that'd be hard to do. I've seen their operation. There's no room to pee in the coffee pot. But maybe at work. Or maybe a little keys running down the side of your brand new vehicle. They don't want to do that. They're smart enough not to keep they're able, around here, they're able to keep their politics in their pants. But, other social media, I got to address it because I finished doing it a little while ago just before I had my second, might be my final cup of the coffee for the day. It's actually increasing my outflow a little bit too much. Stimulants are a cause of glaucoma, but I never did. Never even drank coffee during my adult life. I'm going too long. I hope you pay attention here because this includes trying to explain Karl Marx to you, Das Kapital. Marx studied economics. So Trump was a complete fuck up as a president. Already kind of mentioned him in relationship to drugs. I'll try to get into that a little bit. But I need to try to shoot for no more than 10, 12 minutes on this. Oh, where the hell do we start? And I think actually the first salvo where he fucked up, that's where I get to bring in Karl Marx, who was not actually anti-capitalist. I know there's at least one video out there that's on Karl Marx that's accurate. He doesn't really describe he goes into Das Kapital, but doesn't really address Marx's drunken solution, his Communist Manifesto, which flopped within 1 year of implementation. What a retard. He was a drunk fucking moocher off his rich friend Freddie Ingalls. And up in England, his daddy was a mill owner. A cotton mill or some shit like that. Cotton. And guy was constantly broke. Ingalls would send him like a new sewing machine. It'd be in a pawn shop. He'd have an armful of bread, cheese, and booze, man. He was constantly. Marx was a fucking slob, lazy fucking slob. And Trump, who's supposed to be a respectable businessman and so bright and shit, the first thing he did was just automatically, I got to explain Das Kapital first before Trump's first major fuck up. And Das Kapital, Karl Marx is not anti-capitalist. What he was primarily against was the political market fluctuations and unemployment that were caused by tariffs in the global economy. You see where I'm going here? I am not illiterate nor illiterate. I am fully literate. So what the hell is one of the first things out of his mouth was Trump was going to put tariffs on Chinese goods. Just to mention the word tariffs began the crash of the Chinese currency, which they changed names, all kind of stuff. Look back at the graphs of the valuations. They even attempted around that time. They were trying to attempt to create a new currency group that was their currency, the American dollar and the euro. Look it up. It was much discussed in Australia, mate. And so he crashed by just saying the word tariffs. They did implement some tariffs, I do believe, but nothing really, well, affected me a hell of a lot. But it literally brought the Chinese currency down to pre-industrialization. Walmart the only thing someone called it was brilliant. People who don't really understand that it just increased the conflict and fed the people that actually run everything, the military industrial complex. Please, I'm kind of a student of Dwight David Eisenhower. He warned us about the libertarians. He warned us about the military industrial complex. He was really the first one to speak out because he had exited it and with the 5-star rank, and then could observe it as president. Enormous control it had over government. So tariffs, Trump crashes the Chinese currency, tensions go through the roof. Then the next thing he said, yeah, I'm on time. I'm going to do this in about 10 minutes or so. Next thing he said was, no, wait. I think that was after. Okay, I have to. In his first State of the Union address, Trump proved to be what we call sorry, I've got to, because you have to look at Benjamin Franklin, look at their eyes when you're talking and look at their mouth when they're talking to fully understand. Like a multilingual person or somebody who's fighting. This is a news item that almost nobody knows about. I caught it at what was 7:15 a.m. on NPR, 8:15 p.m., 8:15 a.m. Eastern, and that was the only time it ran. The story about, well, let me finish that. Trump was a centrist appeaser. When he gave his first State of the Union address, he had something for everybody, including, even immigrants. He didn't say illegal. He was avoiding that because he wanted to be popular. You see what I'm talking about? Flunkies. They're just puppets. There's all. And said he was going to promise to bring down drug prices. Within a month of that first State of the Union address by Trump, they had caught, I don't know how many. They didn't say. They didn't move. The story was suppressed. It could have been into the hundreds. Pharmacy chain buyers and wholesalers, the people who act between the middlemen and partial storage until it gets to the actual retail end, were caught bid rigging and price fixing and were arrested. End of the story. Nothing really published since then. If it was not anywhere close to mainstream or even nobody was really following it. That's when Trump had a chance to step in and actually bring down drug prices while he had them in jail. Did he do it? No. My medication actually went out of production. It's one of the best drugs on the planet. Very high in demand, especially on the illegal market. And when because they had to stop production because they didn't have enough controlled environment storage space for it that was normally handled by the wholesalers who were in problem and having some serious legal problems. almost lost my glasses there. And oh God, when it came back, I was actually trying to. It was went from 420, 480 to minimum 1880, and that was I was having to compete with a guy who was not even was so desperate for it. He was probably abusing them and drinking on top of them. I didn't, mix Xanax and alcohol and stuff. You need the Xanax after the alcohol because the end stage of after drinking is it's anxiogenic. That's what one of the habituating aspects of alcohol is. It habituates you because it may relieve anxiety and elevate mood, all that stuff. But once you begin processing all them aldehydes and shit and trying to eliminate it, is you wake up in a high state of anxiety, and that cup of coffee in the morning don't help either because it's you interfering with your GABA chemistry, your anti-anxiety chemistry, and so my medication went from 420 to 480, and I was the only place that was able to get it was Walgreens, and I was having the pharmacist actually one time tried to get me to split my. I said, "Ma'am, I've come from the neighboring county. I'm here to pick up my medication. I've been on you about this. It's already been 3 months." Fuck you, Trump. I mean, you're in the ass with big nigger dicks. I'm sorry. Did I say nigger? I didn't mean that. I apologize. Go ahead and make your complaint. See how long is it? This is in part entertainment. I'm comedic. Isn't that obvious? I mean, please play house. You can never have too much thing, too many blankets. That's some people around who do that. Yeah. No, I've got more blankets than I can handle right now. So, Trump was a complete, absolute, abject failure on when the time was ripe. He didn't strike. First, he fucks up on Das Kapital, increases tension, and then his next major fuck up, at which point I realized that this guy is a complete fucking retard because I am still, to this day, an oil and gas producer. And I'm with a little company that's getting into the future. We were selling on the spot market for decades. We get the highest prices. The market was slumping, and that slump was caused by we were getting ready to frack the Eagleford Shale. We were in the process of fracking the Eagleford Shale in Texas. Massive, massive fucking reserves. This is out beyond the Permian Basin. Well, the first, major. And we're just beginning to get close to me. They're creeping up, and I could just smell that money coming. And, listen carefully to the numbers. 12 million people in this country lease their property for oil and gas. Oil and gas is critical to the defense industry, but they don't care what the price is because they can use your money to buy it for their reserves. And one day, Trump gets on TV, and he kind of knows he's already been in there over a year, I think, at that point, and he says these words that make me hate him forever. Americans deserve cheap gasoline. Americans deserve cheap gasoline? What, motherfucker? I have to put up with all the... No. I, like any producer, deserves a fair market price, which is at least 70, 90 bucks. Actually, in today's economy, we need 90 bucks to make it worth drilling. His words, actually, immediately, the company that was contracted to drill for us, their stock, actually that day, oil futures went down 10 bucks. By the end of the week, they were in the $30 range, which that's halted it for. The company that held my lease had contracted with a drilling company, and their stock went from exactly $100 to within a few weeks after Trump said Americans deserve cheap gas. Same as Walter Cronkite. We marched 500,000 strong in San Francisco. Did nothing to the Vietnam War. It was Walter Cronkite, the very trusted guy who went to school here in Texas and stuff, although he was like from Missouri or somewhere. Most trusted man in America, went to Vietnam and ended it himself by stepping onto the battlefield in fatigues, no markings, no, kind of put his foot up on something and said, "The war is lost." And that was it. Public opinion didn't matter in that. The military-industrial complex probably sent him there to announce that, yeah, we've expended enough munitions, we made enough money off this one and shit, and time to call it quits. We'll get ready for the next one. We need to restock. Put them people in Ohio back to work and shit. And so Trump's just saying that we deserve, scared the hell out of the market. They thought he was going to start taking actions like the Chinese tariffs or some shit like that. I remember, Arab oil embargo, tariffs, embargoes. That's the shit that Karl Marx hated. And so I still haven't seen a penny of the fracking well. I'm still working on an old Austin chalk. Well, I had a big chunk of the first one. Then we were forced to pool by the Texas Railroad Commission. That shit started up in Oklahoma. And I'm getting a tiny little fraction of a percent off of a big ass pool of I don't know how many thousands of acres, because that's the nature of horizontal drilling through the Eagle Ford Shale. I want to thank you, President Trump. You're the dumbest motherfucker I've ever seen in that office, really. You really thought you was something else, and you was just a flunky of the military-industrial complex, and you was working your fan base of being a Karen. Donald Trump was a Karen. With those fish lips all the time talking like this and shit. One of my new subscribers used the term physiognomy. I'm sorry, with these lips I can't pronounce the word. He knows what I'm talking about. Judging people by their facial configurations is the definition. So, in 17 minutes, I'm telling you all about Trump and Karl Marx. I'm done.